Stevens, and I'd like to welcome you to our first Destination Chesterfield virtual event. We hope you're all keeping safe and well. It's a pleasure to be working with Chesterfield Champion Virtual News to bring you this event, and I hope you like our very own Chesterfield News Studio. The team at Destination Chesterfield are continuing to keep you all updated on local news and business support information through these unprecedented times. Over the past few weeks, there's been a range of support packages launched to help the business community. And for our first event, we thought it would be good to discuss some of the support available and where to find the latest information. To help us with that, I'm pleased to welcome Adrian Williamson, who is the Innovation Support Project Manager at Chesterfield Borough Council. Thank you for joining us, Adrian. I wondered if you could tell us a bit about your role and how you work with the businesses of Chesterfield.
Hi, Dom. Yes, I support businesses around Chesterfield in a wide variety of ways, and it's probably best to just give you a general idea of the sorts of things that I do. Look at products and services where competitive advantage can be had. Look at customers, customer management issues, including systems and processes, traditionally what you might call the funnel when you're looking at the sales side of things. Talk to people about marketing, consideration of promotional methods and measurement of those things to try and improve things that people are doing. Talk a little bit about human resources, skills development, methods and management of the same kind of stuff, planning and strategy in all sorts of forms, including things like succession planning, but also financial management, sometimes funding options, sometimes risk management, resilience, which interestingly is very, very important in these days, physical, but also data security and things like that. So quite a big variety of different bits and pieces. And what I try to do is provide some support either directly or through other organisations to businesses to help them develop, really, and to get to where they want to get to.
Brilliant. And there's lots of information for businesses to understand about the funding and business support that's currently available, and it's changing on a regular basis. So where do you recommend are the best places for people to get up-to-date information from?
I think that it's very important to get direct sources as a first port of call, certainly when you're looking at the government-backed support that's available. So get direct government links, and there are one or two of those available. The advantage of those is because everything's moving incredibly quickly, even still moving incredibly quickly, what's happening is a lot of things are having to be backfilled. So if you want to get the most up-to-date information, the best thing to do is to have primary links into government, but it also applies to when other organisations provide support into the business arena. So it's very, very useful to use those as a main reference point, certainly for more sophisticated things which might have many layers to them. The other thing to take a look at, another layer, is to take a look at sort of what we call trusted aggregators of information. And so I'd include in that Destination Chesterfield, for obvious reasons, but also things like the East Midlands Chamber, D2N2 Growth Hub, Chesterfield Borough Council itself, and also if you're operating in the sort of voluntary sector, it could be linked CVS. So there's quite a lot of different places that you can gather information, but it's a bit like everything else that you might do on the net and everything else you might do on social media. It's trying to make sure you've got good quality links you can take a look at. No one source will necessarily be the best thing for everything, but making sure you've got quite a variety. I tend to suggest people bookmark them all so that they've got links which they know are good and they can go back and check to see how potentially things have changed. This is particularly the case with the government information where things are being filled in as they go.
Brilliant, thank you. And businesses have had to adapt quickly to new ways of working. I mean, for Destination Chesterfield team, for example, within a week we had to introduce home working, put new technology in place, look at new ways of doing our events. So the technology that we use today. Others will have introduced online sales or delivery models that meet the national guidance. What support's out there for businesses to introduce them to new systems and also to learn how to maximise the benefits of these systems for their business?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff that's grown up in a relatively short period of time, really. The D2N2 Growth Hub themselves have a number of events and webinars that enable you to try and gather far more information around things, about the ways to do things now in a slightly different way, but also take a look in more detail at some of the things that you do have access to, like social media, that you might want to develop more at this time. You've also got a number of courses and events being run virtually by East Midlands Chamber as well. They also will be worthwhile taking a look at. There's quite a lot of available resources out there. There's been resources available for years that are digital, but quite a lot of them have been freed up now as well. So things that are commercially available sometimes have a free arm. The other thing that people can do at the moment, which is probably worthwhile doing, is where they want to develop their skill set, say, for example, around social media. Perhaps it might be something they've not done as much as they'd like to or would wish to, or if they're wanting to develop things that feed into social media, like video or stills, things like that. There's a lot of information out there about that. So it's not just about business directly, it's also about the other things you can do. Maybe you want to develop your Instagram profile. There's a lot of material available through YouTube, through lots of other sources as well. So it's not just about general business support, building understanding about infrastructure you might be able to use. It's also about taking time to be able to identify specific things that people want to develop within their business or may have been putting off for quite some time, or realize that actually it could be a vital way of keeping in contact with people that are customers or potential customers.
Thank you. So Chesterfield's a marketing organisation, and we always look to encourage the benefits of raising the profile of Chesterfield companies, both for their own benefit, but also to raise the profile of the town. So how important do you think it is that businesses keep their profile up during this period?
Well, I think it's vital because arguably they are difficult to see as it stands. So really it's their external profile, the part that normally would be perhaps not their favourite part, but would be the bit that they want people to see, which would largely be their electronic side. There are certain exceptions to that, for example, where businesses are having to deliver things, but again, the social distancing rules apply. So from my point of view at the moment, I think there's a lot to be done about maintaining links with existing customers, which may well be digitally. How can we engage them? How can we deal with them? Redefining the presence, perhaps for older customers who haven't engaged for a while, perhaps as an opportunity to reach out to them. It could also be about positioning themselves for prospective new customers and trying to see whether that all hangs together. The fact that really you're wanting to do multiple things all at once. I think the big thing that's really important at the moment in these difficult times is very much about trying to work out what does it feel like to be a customer of yours? What things are they experiencing in the moment? What things can you help them with? How can you make their life that little bit better? This also applies to your staff as well. So how can you understand them and how can you provide support to be able to assist them? It's about sometimes providing things as normal or as near to normal as you can do. Sometimes it's about providing things in a better way than you can do if you've got a business that can continue to operate. But the key thing at the moment is trying to find a way through. Even when we found a way through that fulfills all the requirements to be able to transact business, is there an easier way to do that? Is there a way of fine-tuning what we've already got? I think that at the moment, potentially it's one of those times when it's a relatively defining moment in that people will remember how you dealt with this, how you dealt with them, how you reacted, and how you were caring. All those kind of things I think are going to be really important to businesses and the way that they operate now. And they need to bear those things in mind. And I think the largest proportion of them are, to be honest.
Thanks, Adrian. Those businesses that are operating or offering products and services to support people during the coronavirus outbreak, we've created a supporting local page to promote them. So from online and delivery of shopping to business support and guidance. If businesses would like to be involved in that, they can go to chesterfield.co.uk, follow the link and complete the form, and we will then promote the business to support the local community. So Adrian, just to finish off today, what would be your top 3 tips for businesses during this time?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is the art of the possible. To start off with, what can be done, what can't be done, where are the limitations of what you can do, but also are there ways to overcome the limitations that there are? I do think a lot of businesses have done and will continue to look very, very carefully at cash flow forecasts to make sure that what they're doing puts them in the best position. They need to take action depending on what those numbers show, depending on what they can see. But outside that, it's some of the things we've already talked about. It's how can we do more? How can we do things differently? How can we make it so that we can deliver what we normally deliver? If we can't deliver what we normally deliver, then what aspects of what we deliver can we do? And then if we can't do any of those things, how can we help the community? How can we help our customers? Do the customers we have got, do they need something else that we potentially would be able to do? We haven't historically done that. I don't know. There's a number of things that sort of sit in that space. I would call them sort of the art of the possible. The bits that we talked about before are very important. How does it feel to be a customer? How does it feel to be a member of staff? They continue to be very important. So it's understanding your customer, really. And also, I think it is a time to make sure that the way that you model the communication of the shape of the business and the way you handle social media and your website, all those things are going to be very important because they're the primary points of contact. Overall, the big plea I think I would have for businesses is to make sure they do listen in terms of what is out there in terms of support, monitor websites and things like that, just to see if something's cropped up that might be that extra thing that you may need. Monitor your customers and monitor your staff. So they're the things. So listen to your organisation. And again, like I said before, I'm pretty sure that a large proportion of businesses are doing this. But if any of these things that we've said today and the things we've talked about today have been helpful to just one business, then I think we've done a good thing.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for your time today and for your ideas. Obviously, if the businesses that are watching want any more support, feel free to get in touch with the Destination Chesterfield team and we can put you in touch with Adrian and the other support mechanisms that are out there. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. Our next virtual event will take place on the 29th of April, where we'll be having some more business advice sessions for you, but also celebrating the positive things the local business community have been doing in response to the coronavirus. Thank you for joining us. See you all next time.